it's annoying because, I mean, I was saying about a year ago, like some of these suburbs were even under 750 and even under 850 at times, but that's just completely changed now because a lot of them that I've been talking about have gone up quite a bit since I first started talking about them. And the first one I'm going to start with is under 850,000, and it is still the suburb of Mayfield West that I'm mentioning at that. I actually said in one of my very first episodes about Newcastle that you could still pick this up under 750, and that was sort of, I'd say, earlier last year. I know a lot of people hadn't listened. Look, I had deals going on that even were done for like 730 to 740,000, believe it or not, at that time. But they don't exist anymore. Like, they do not exist at all. And if it does come up, it's a terrible place. I'll tell you right now, it's not the right place to buy. But under 850 is still getting in. And it's still going to continue to go up. Like, there's too much demand and the supply is just too tight there. And the suburbs just completely landlocked in every direction. And it's very close to CBD. It's only about 6-7 k's from the CBD. So one of the good suburbs in that. Really, what you just need to know here in Mayfield West is it's just completely starting to change in terms of its sort of demographics. So this is just a graph here showing 2006 on the left and 2021 on the right, so the 15 years. And so it goes personal, then it's family, then it's household weekly incomes. So all of those have basically more than doubled in that time. So that's really good numbers. The ratio of your mortgage repayments have also gone down. So that means the low LVR's got a lot lower. So all these things are really good. I still really like it. I know it's got a lot more expensive, but it's still got more to go because comparative suburbs are, I mean, a lot more expensive. Just be careful where you buy in the suburb. I mean, it's not all areas are good, but it's still a very good suburb to buy in. I've got it very close by here at under 900k as well. And that suburb is right next door, and it is Mayfield. Look, Mayfield really is, I'd say, it's one of your like CBDs, I'd say, of Newcastle. It's actually a part of a growth precinct plan in Newcastle, and it's also one of the key, I'd say, sort of, like, it does employ quite a few people down the main street as well. It's not far from the uni. It's not far from the hospitals either as well. It has a train line, has a lot of bus lines that run through it too. So transport's good. Median income's gone up like crazy. I mean, especially in certain pockets of Mayfield. They're just excellent locations to buy in. So, I mean, really, really good for that as well. Pardon me. Also, like, just along with that, you've got basically every facility you need in the world. And what shows that is just the walk score here. So, look, around that CBD centre, you can just see it's basically a walker's paradise there. You could go to everything. There's a whole new Coles. There's heaps of cafes. There's the Woolworths. There's even physio clinics, healthcare clinics, everything you need along there. You know, you got the high school nearby. You got Mayfield East Primary. You don't really have to go very far. There's people that are even in Mayfield that don't have cars because it's quite easy to get around. And you've got, especially like along Church Street and those sorts of locations, you've got some of the biggest dwellings actually sort of, should I say, in the west of the Newcastle CBD. So you get some there where your old sort of BHP sort of professionals were living on nearly acre blocks and that kind of thing. So that just helps push the price up as well. Look, I was saying you could still pick this up about a year ago or so. I was still picking it up in the low 800s, so I said under 850. But I mean, the right dwellings are very close to 900,000 now, and there's plenty that sell above $1 million. So that's just going to continue to go up, mind you. Like, the median of this now, and I would say under 900 is like 930,000. So it's not somewhere that's going to last very long. I think in the next year and a half, it will break the $1 million barrier. I do think it will for sure. It's just because there's just no stock in the market again. You got a lot of young, wealthy professionals moving into it. And especially for the right dwelling. Good luck getting that for under $1 million in come probably this time, not this time, probably the end of 2026. There probably won't be much at all that's good under $1 million apart from if it's falling apart. So that's under 900k in Newcastle. Let's get under $1 million in Newcastle. And I have mentioned this in the past, but I'm going to mention again. That suburb I'm going to mention is Islington. So look, Islington really, I'd say it's kind of like your inner city gentrified kind of market of Newcastle. Look, Islington itself is only about 3 to 4 k's from the CBD. It's very close to CBD. It is basically Hamilton, right next to Hamilton Station. It's a skinny little suburb near there. Islington really, again, is one of those. It's kind of like an inner city Sydney market. It's like villagey, very small blocks, but very good capital growth. I mean, certain pockets in Newcastle, not Newcastle, but Islington longer term, I've seen it do, above 10% for more than 30 years. To give you an idea, very high median income here, very close weekly income to the actual monthly mortgage repayment, so it's really good in that. And look, it's really, I'd say, very cheap compared to what it's around as well. So look, Islington itself is, you're still picking up for about $950 to $1 million, right? But all the surrounding suburbs, like your Maryvilles, Tyres Hill, your, should I say, Hamilton, they're all anywhere from about 1.07 million to about 1.2 million, right? And I'd argue Islington is just as well located, and certain pockets of Islington are probably just as good as any of them that surround it. So for under $1 million, it's like that. And to give everyone an idea of kind of what it's like, I just call it like a gentrified kind of like new town of Newcastle. That's what it's kind of like. So you have a lot of alleys like this, a lot of shops that are, your alternate kind of lifestyle. That's what it's like. But Islington also is going to be a part of that transport orientated plan because it's right next to Hamilton Station. So it's going to be affected by that. You'll see a lot more developments go around the station here. It's very well located. It's one stop to Newcastle interchange on the train, and those trains go straight to Sydney, the ones that stop at Hamilton as well station, which is basically on the borderline of Islington anyway. So really good one in that as well. Definitely for under $1 million. Crazy numbers there. Like I think this will be probably 1.1, maybe probably even more by the end of probably 2026 to give everyone an idea. Let's get into under 1.2 million. And it's kind of really lucky here because, this suburb's gone well above this mark before, but it's just dipped down slightly. If you look at real estate or core logic, it won't say that, but I'll explain it in a second. And that suburb is Maryville. So Maryville is, it's basically a harbourside suburb of Newcastle. It does have a small industrial precinct, but also then you kind of have like a waterfront villa townhouse precinct, and then you got your kind of more residential precinct. Where I'm talking about here is a residential precinct of Maryville. Now, if you look on, as I said, real estate or core logic, it will say that it is under, it is under around 1.1 or under 1.1 slightly. But the reason it's saying that it's because Maryville's stock levels are so low. You generally have less than 25 houses a year selling there. And what's kind of happened lately is you've had a lot of homes or them classifying these as homes in that small kind of terrace cottage waterfront precinct, or as well the industrial precinct of the suburb where houses go for much less. Now, in saying that, right, where these houses go for less, it's not necessarily, should I say, a case of the property itself, the properties itself actually being that price. Like most of the right dwellings here are very close to 1.2 million because all the better streets here are around that kind of price. But Maryville really, it is probably in terms of the inner city, my favourite suburb of all of Newcastle because you've got extremely high median income. You got beautiful tree-lined streets. You got that creek you can see running along this photo here. It's called Throsby Creek, and you basically got a bike and walking path that goes straight into Wickham and Honeysuckle, so the centre of Newcastle, really. So people exercise all along. They got Islington Park just down the road there as well. Maryville Tavern, which is a great pub, and it's very villagey and quiet. It's extremely quiet. It's a beautiful suburb, really. And you got very high median income. Just to give you an idea about how strong the demographics are as well, this is just off SQM, and you'll see here if you just go back to 91. So the darker blue kind of navy graph there is the weekly family income, and that's the New South Wales average. And then basically the light kind of aqua, it's not really aqua, it's kind of just light blue. That's the postcode. So that's both Maryville and Wickham. Wickham is a very small suburb, but that's 2293 is both of them. But you'll see here, you can see it was well below the median sort of in the 90s and early 2000s, should I say, actual median of the state, and you can just see how much it's now exponentially increasing. It's gone well above that, and in 2026 it's projected to go even further, and that's just going to increase because this suburb's so well located. It's like 3 to 4 k's from the CBD, and I mean, just look at where it is on a map. Look at how nice the streets are. Just drive through it, honestly. Drive through it. Yes, it's villagey. It doesn't have big blocks or anything like that. But who really gives a crap? I mean, the median of the suburbs done like 9%. But if you take out all the crappy dwellings and all the ones that are badly located, just in the main good residential areas, it's done more than 10. I'll tell you that right now. I know that for a fact because I mean, I've done extensive research on this suburb, so it's excellent for that kind of thing. It's a very, very good suburb to consider for that. That's in Maryville, under $1.2 million. Let's get it under 1.5. I've previously mentioned this in the past, but I'll mention it again, and that suburb is Cooks Hill. So Cooks Hill, I'd say, is kind of probably like Newcastle's Paddington. It's probably kind of like that. You got a lot of alleys like this. It's a very kind of gentrified kind of area. It's full of coffee shops right next to the CBD. It's like 1.5K from the CBD, to give you an idea. I mean, some parts you could probably even say like a couple of 100 meters away from the actual suburb of Newcastle. But really, Cooks Hill is a very, very old suburb. It's got very good demographics, a long-term population there. Believe it or not, you actually get properties in some parts that actually are even on their own title. Like, I mean, they're not attached. They're completely detached homes. And even some I've seen that are on larger blocks, right up to 500 to 600 meters squared, but they go for multi-million dollars today. But I've picked up miners' cottages here for under 1.5 million that perform perfectly well. And the thing about Cooks Hill is, look, it's got all the facilities, obviously, but look, just look at the walkability of it. You can see here, look, it's basically the second/third best walkable suburb in all of Newcastle. You don't really need a car if you live in Cooks Hill. I mean, you can walk straight to Bar Beach. You can walk straight into the CBD. There's transport everywhere there as well, so you don't really have any problems getting around there either. Look, under 1.5 million, really good rentability as well because it's such a good suburb. So that's Cooks Hill in a Newcastle. Look, I just want to, I know we're not super expensive, but I'll get into any budget now. And look, you're probably looking at about the $2 million to $2.2 million mark. And the suburb, I'd say for any budget that I would buy if I had the money. And this is probably a better one, I'd say, for owner occupiers, or if you're a very wealthy investor, if you had, I mean, like a $3 million plus budget because you won't fry all your borrowing on it, or if you just want a great place to live and you have the money. I think the best suburb to buy in all of Newcastle is the Hill. So the Hill in Newcastle is, like its name says, it's called the Hill because it's on top of the Newcastle Hill. That's the reason. It looks like this. So this is basically what it looks like. Now you have properties here along the front terrace there that look over really the parkland there that go for above $4 and $5 million. It's not uncommon there. But some parts of the Hill you're still picking up for around $2 million or so, which is really good. Look, this suburb, I'd call it, like, I know it's called the Hill, but I call it the Bellevue Hill of Newcastle. It's so well located. All the wealthy live there. To give you a bit of an idea, the history of the Hill, it's basically where you kind of higher end people lived back in the forming times of Newcastle. So you had a lot of your councillors, your mayors, your high end lawyers, your doctors, and all those kinds of people that kind of live there. It's very similar to that. I'd say it's absolutely similar to probably Bellevue Hill in Sydney, or maybe even I'd say Canterbury, Camberwell, and Melbourne, maybe like your Hamilton, Ascot in Brisbane, if you want to get an idea of that. But the best thing is it's just proximity to everything's just incredible. So look, I mean, there's parts of the Hill that are like 150 meters to the CBD there, as you can see. This is just Google Maps. Some parts of the Hill are walkable distances, Bar Beach and Susan Gilmore Beach and Newcastle Beach. I mean, if you wanted to walk to Fort Scratchley or Nobbies, it's close as well. Honeysuckle and the Harbour Side's very close. Like, you're not far from anything, and it's so tightly held. Like, good luck finding the right property if you don't have the right access. You don't have someone like me looking for something like this for you, because it's just, I'm telling you right now, it's very hard to source stock because people here just don't sell their homes. They hold them for 20, 30 years plus. And I'm not saying, like, if you look at the median hold period, it might say something like, I don't know, 12 to 15 years, but that's including units and all dwellings. I mean, if you look at detached houses in the right area here, it'd be somewhere between 20 and 30 years. That would be the hold period. So good luck finding it. Its proximity to everything's awesome. Great income demographics. I think probably the best suburb to buy in all of Newcastle, in my opinion.